Yes.
Also our instructor.
Hi, Lori, welcome.
Okay. Welcome everyone. We are live, informally, with Robert Dilts.
Looking forward to a master class on this Sleight of Mouth 3, which is really something pretty amazing. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this, and it's also a chance for Robert to explain this new model, this new level, and
Right.
gosh, I'm just really excited. I'm just so every time, Robert, it's something new. I don't think in English you've done this. This is
No.
the first time you're going to present
This is the
right?
first, this is absolutely the first time this is being done in English. So you guys are on the leading edge. Facebook,
Great.
they ready?
Welcome.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of turned out pretty amazing master course of whole model of Sleight of Mouth. So we have Sleight of Mouth 1. We have also advanced level.
Or Sleight of Mouth 2.
Yes, and now we are looking forward to Sleight of Mouth 3.
And
We've
ahead,
even sort of anticipated there could be a Sleight of Mouth 4 eventually.
Yeah. That is great.
Yes.
Because what we're seeing now is this kind of this trilogy or quadrilogy. We're calling it a master course because it has the whole progression beginning with the 14 patterns and your explication on the Sleight of Mouth 1, but then on each level it develops, and so together you're looking at kind of a holistic model of belief change and belief formation, or
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think this, in combination with the pyramid programs, is also also
yes.
quite, a master, really a truly, kind of a mastery of, I think not only belief, but sort of our life path, our, sort of being able to master life in some ways.
Dilts Master Life Coaching.
Master life coaching. I like that.
Holistic model.
I like that
Yes.
too. We have a really good group. There's great interest, Robert, in this program, this new model.
Yes.
Approximately 700 people signed up for the masterclass. I guess the majority on YouTube, but we have a good group here, 44, 45, 47, 48 already
on. Going up.
as I speak.
And also as a kind of mom care about workshop before we started, if you just figure out about this event and you would like to join, for our participants of this very free master class, we have free personal accounts, so with gifts. So there, if you take a look at the description of this YouTube translation, you will see subscribe to masterclass, and then you will get your own personal Sleight of Mouth account, and then you will get a gift there. We have a really interesting lesson from Robert there. And we also have a slides in PDF for this very masterclass from Robert. So it's everything in your personal account. Please join us. We will be very happy to see you. Everything is beautiful there.
You guys have done an amazing job. I definitely appreciate all of the work and effort that you've done to not only set that up, but to create the opportunity for a community to really form around this. So you guys are
we're so honored, Robert, to be able to participate, to be able to support you, and we so much respect your work that to have anything less than our very best and most creative website would be unthinkable. So
yeah. Well, you have definitely done it. so
And I'm personally also very proud to be part of this new generation of Dilts classical stuff, which make a lot of generations of coaches and psychologists, health professionals who different sphere be able to help people to solve a lot of problems. So, and right now it's kind of new generation of your classical stuff like sleight of mouth, pyramids, strategies of genius, and
Back to the future.
and I'm very, very happy to proud and honored. Thank you, Robert.
Well, you're very welcome. It's been said, there's nothing new under the sun. And so actually what we're always doing is, sort of energizing something, re-bringing it back into new contexts. And then, of course, as we've been saying here, kind of integrating when you take one set of patterns and integrate them with another, it's like taking hydrogen and oxygen. You start to get not just the combination of hydrogen and oxygen, you get water, you get something new. And I think that's kind of the idea of what we've been wanting to do here is it's not just rehashing of the same old patterns. It's actually by bringing together these different models, something truly new also emerges, and something that is a next generation. We could call it next generation sleight of mouth, even though the fundamental patterns are still the same. So and that's kind of what I want to share about. That's what we're going to talk about with Sleight of Mouth 3 here.
Well,
Okay,
let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
Welcome to everybody
welcome
from
everybody.
around the world. Now 64 on board. It's growing. Welcome, and Robert, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. So, we're going to presuppose, right, that if this is Sleight of Mouth 3, there's a Sleight of Mouth 1 and 2, and of course the Sleight of Mouth 1 is really going over some of the the basics of Sleight of Mouth, the patterns. But what's new about Sleight of Mouth 1 and the way we present it is, and the reason we decided to present it is because we're actually emphasizing, a lot of the focus of the book's volume 2 of Sleight of Mouth, which is a good complement to, the original Sleight of Mouth, which came out more than 25 years ago now. And what we have emphasized in that Sleight of Mouth 1 is the mindsets that are necessary to produce those patterns. So that a lot of times in the past, people have sort of struggled with the patterns, and the best way to learn the patterns has been, inductively, meaning that people just try them out and we finally kind of unconsciously figure out, what's the way to generate them. Whereas in our Sleight of Mouth 1 program, we're really showing, well, here's the kind of mindset that's necessary to generate them and how we integrate in multiple intelligences. In Sleight of Mouth 2, of course, one of the things we've done is we say, okay, you don't just use these patterns typically one at a time, and especially the people that were modeled for Sleight of Mouth to create the model, you're using combinations and using combinations for specific purposes. And so in Sleight of Mouth 2, that was our focus. And also in Sleight of Mouth 2, we begin to connect these Sleight of Mouth patterns with so-called Polya patterns. Now in Sleight of Mouth 3, we continue that, but I like to think of, the three things we're bringing together in Sleight of Mouth 3 are the basic patterns, the strategies of genius, and then the NLP presuppositions. So when you kind of begin to weave these together, you get a very powerful, way of approaching human transformation. And it's interesting, I'm actually currently working on Strategies of Genius Volume 4, in which I'm exploring the four geniuses, or all these four geniuses I knew personally, had personal interaction, personal contact with. And they're also geniuses, if you take in the earlier books, I studied people like Aristotle, like Einstein, like Tesla, like Leonardo da Vinci. And these were all people that were, in a sense, exploring the sort of these deeper structures, these deeper patterns in the natural world. Whereas the four geniuses that I'm looking at here are really looking at the deeper patterns of our subjective world and what is the deep structure of human transformation. And I think that's also very, very relevant to, obviously to Sleight of Mouth. So As usual, I like to begin, and we really, our goal here is we're going to really run this like a master class here. I will present sort of an overview of the Sleight of Mouth 3, what we're going to be doing. And then we're going to actually, I'll walk everybody through a taste of that, through, well, what would that be like? So we'll actually do a little bit of I'll do a guided exercise. And then of course we'll have some time for questions. And it's, great that we have those of you who have joined us on Zoom for that. And I just also want to just, acknowledge and say welcome to all of those of you who are watching on YouTube or some other channel this today, or whenever you're watching it. So the poem I want to read is actually one that I believe I probably read in one of the previous classes, maybe even at the end of Sleight of Mouth 2. But for me, if so, then that end is now our beginning. And I still think that a good poem, to me, there's always something new to get out of it. And that's part of the whole idea of sleight of mouth. Poetry is a kind of sleight of mouth in and of itself, because it's a way of using words to create worlds. And you use words in non-linear ways. We use words in different ways to create these worlds. So poem I'm going to start with, as I said, you may have heard it before, you may have even heard it from me, is one by American author, a woman named Nancy Wood, from a book of her collection of hers called Spirit Walker. And to me, Spirit Walker kind of gives this indication of something that's it kind of takes me in the Native American mindset. And even though I don't know if Nancy Wood has any Native American connection, but the words, the poem certainly, to me, invokes that. And the title of this poem is All is a Circle Within Me. And she says, all is a circle within me. I am 10,000 winters old. I'm as young as a newborn flower. I'm a buffalo in its grave. I'm a tree in bloom. All is a circle within me. I've seen the world through an eagle's eyes. I've seen it through a gopher's hole. I've seen the world on fire and the sky without a moon. All is a circle within me. I've gone into the world and out again. I've gone to the edge of the sky. Now all is at peace within me. Now all has a place to come home. And for me, I particularly like this poem, and for many reasons, partially because, as you hear, it's integrating multiple perspectives, right? 10,000 winters old, a flower in bloom, buffalo in its grave. And of course, there's a lot of, in sleight of mouth, what we call the analogies, right? Metaphors that invoke different kinds of internal experiences. And this idea of, going into the world and out again, or seeing the world through the eagle's eyes or the gopher's hole. Each of these is a kind of to me, is a sort of a implication and indication of certain goals of the sleight of mouth patterns, right? Chunk up, chunk down, change the frame size, these kind of things, where the whole purpose of that, of course, as she says at the end, is that everything has a place. Now all is a circle. It's not like I've now finally, destroyed something, gotten rid of something, disproved something. The whole goal is to have all that as a circle within me, and all is at peace within me. And to me, I think that's the goal of sleight of mouth, is to have a rich enough, wide enough map that there is room for everything, but that also everything can be at peace, right? It can be in harmony. And so from the very, very beginning of NLP, the whole goal that Bandler and Grinder set up in the structure of Magic 1, which was all about language patterns, is, that if you can enrich your map of the world, you will have more choices. And the goal of NLP from the very beginning, the very first words I ever heard from Bandler and Grinder about it were, you're never trying to take away a choice. You're always wanting to add choices. And so sleight of mouth is not trying to, attack beliefs. It's trying to enrich our map so that we know I have a choice. And again, here's where we get to some of these presuppositions of NLP, that having the choice is better than not having it. And if it's truly a better choice, we will take it. Now, of course, for something to be a choice, it has to first be something that we're aware of. If we're not aware of it, if it's not a choice. Secondly, it has to be something that, is truly something that within our map and within our reach. Options themselves are not choices. It can only become a choice if I actually believe that it's possible, if I actually believe I'm capable of it. Otherwise, it's not a choice, right? It's a wish. So a lot of part of what we want to do with Sleight of Mouth is we want to take our empowering beliefs and turn them from an option or a wish into an actual choice. And the same thing with our limiting beliefs and thought viruses. A thought virus is not initially a choice. It's not a choice because we're not even aware of it. It just is that way. So there's no choice without awareness. And so big part of what we do in Sleight of Mouth 3, of course, is we're going to be wanting to create those conditions. So in fact, I'm going to just do a kind of a quick presentation here of the kind of pieces. I'm not going to go, when I show these slides, I'm not going to go into every part of the slide, every word in detail. This is more to give an overview, which of course in the program we go into in depth. But let's just sort of go there for the moment to share. So we have our, basically, as we've said, Sleight of Mouth 1, 2, and 3 are all going to be, in some ways, bringing together, synthesizing what we have in the first two volumes of Sleight of Mouth 1 and 2. So the magic of conversational belief change. Secondly, how words can change worlds, which means they can also create worlds. So I think we all kind of already have an idea of what sleight of mouth is, but when we think about the magic of language and conversational belief change, the kind of things that we want to explore in Sleight of Mouth 3 are, coming to these deepest structures of, how do we change ourselves? How do we reach our fullest potential in this life? And of course, the key is that we're saying that belief has a tremendous amount to do with that. A belief can limit our potential. Belief can open our potential. Similarly, as with many of the role models for the Sleight of Mouth, how do we change the world? And how do we support our world to reach its fullest potential? So what a couple of the things we're going to be exploring, we start with in Sleight of Mouth 3 is, what are 5 to 7 beliefs that if you had them would change your life for the better. And then we're also going to be exploring what beliefs get in the way. And similarly, we'll be looking at what 5 to 7 beliefs, if shared by a majority of people, would change the world for the better. I mean, our world, we can see certain beliefs are really creating a lot of unnecessary problems in our world, in the same way that beliefs can create unnecessary problems in our life. So this is the kind of territory that we want to apply sleight of mouth to. Now, when we also say beliefs about the world does not have to mean some abstract, only the abstract idea of the world. It could also be particular clients that we have. But it's, essentially we're going to be working on beliefs for ourselves and then also beliefs for others. And what we're going to be exploring is, as we look at these, what we look now at applying sleight of mouth, not only to a single belief, but what we might call a belief system. And belief system would be, something that is created out of a number of interrelating beliefs. So for example, here, as we think about the beliefs that we want to have for ourselves, what do we want to believe is important and worthwhile? What do we want to believe is possible? What do we want to believe is appropriate? What do we want to believe we are capable of? What do we want to believe that we are responsible for? For example, are we responsible for our health? Are we responsible for our environment? And then, what are we worthy of? Similar, as we think about the world, and as I said, the world does not necessarily always have to be the abstract whole world, although, as I pointed out, a lot of the original models for sleight of mouth were people that were out to make a difference in the world. But again, what is important and worthwhile for the world? What is possible for the world? Um, what is appropriate? What are people capable of? What are people responsible for? And what do people deserve? So again, we're going to be taking these beliefs, these questions and these beliefs, begin to explore them. And then, we're going to be looking at how these beliefs sort of, interact with each other. So again, if we think about beliefs for the world, we've in Sleight of Mouth 2, we go deeply into Gandhi's strategy of using combinations of sleight of mouth patterns to shift people's perceptions in relationship to violence. And so, as he said here, be the change you want to see in the world. So there's also a connection between ourselves and the world. And so for me, in some ways, the beliefs that I want for myself are precisely the same beliefs and the change that I want to see in myself would be precisely similar change I want to see in the world. So, again, you're going to have often these pairs of beliefs. And what we're going to do is one of the things we'll explore, and again, we'll do a little sample of this today, is you have this empowering belief, like let's say that it's possible for me to be healthy, or it's possible for me to live in a work-life balance. But that's not the whole belief yet, right? That's the first part of the belief. It's possible, because the second part is this other aspect, therefore or because. So it's possible for me to do this because why? That's actually the belief. Or it's possible for me to do this, therefore this. That's the belief. Because remember, we've said in the previous classes, beliefs are always a generalization about the relationship between something and something else. Usually, something that's connected, we connect beliefs and values because usually it's connected to something important to me, something valuable to me. And then there's some kind of, as we have said, cause effect or complex equivalence that comes as a result of that. Similarly with the limiting belief, it's not possible. This is often the limiting belief could be the polarity of that, but it might be something else. It's not possible because, and in previous master classes, we've done things like looking at Oprah Winfrey, this empowering belief that if you do what you love and work hard and offer it in service to others, the universe will support you to succeed. I mean, that's a powerful belief to live by, right? If you do what you love, work hard and offer it in service to others, the universe will support you. Now, she was also working against the limiting belief, given her history and her upbringing. Born to an unwed mother in the South as an African American. There was these many limiting beliefs, like you can't succeed or live your dream because you have the wrong color, gender, size, background, whatever. So oftentimes these empowering beliefs are going to come head to head with limiting beliefs. Or in the case of Gandhi, he actually would sometimes start with the limiting belief, which again, in the Gandhi's case, when you first look at this second belief, it may not be what most people consider limiting. And that's where it gets interesting here when we start thinking about things like thought viruses. Somebody might say, say it's okay to use violence, if your goal is good, right? Because it's about liberty or self-rule. So yes, of course, it's okay to do that. Now, that becomes an interesting question. Is that an empowering belief or a limiting belief? And this is going to be one of the interesting things that we look at. Things that can sound empowering can also lead to undesirable consequences. For example, somebody has a belief like, I'm capable of myself. I don't need anybody else's help. You might go, oh, that sounds like a really empowering belief. And yet that might lead that person to be unable to ask for help when they need it, and have confidence. It might generate things where you have confidence without the competence because I just have that belief. So that's where we've got to also look at some of the nuances here. Now, again, what Gandhi was saying, again, this idea of it's important to be the change you want to see in the world. And there is a connection between your means and your ends. And so to say, I want to create peace through violence is actually a kind of an interesting, a challenge. And now here's the other key thing. Remember what I said before. You're not saying, in this case, this is hopefully very clear. We're not saying that one of these beliefs is right and one of them is wrong, right? We're not, and for one to be right, the other has to be wrong. We are saying they are choices, and these choices have consequences, and beliefs are beliefs. They are not, the map is not the territory, but you need to choose which map you want to operate from. And that, of course, is what the goal of all sleight of mouth, but that's going to be especially the goal that we look at in sleight of mouth 2. Now, as part of that, in addition to the beliefs that we're looking for, as I said, that we want, we're going to also, this is just an example of some of these, what we call verbal frames for limiting beliefs. If I get what I want, then what? What could I lose? Or getting what I might mean something, or it causes things to stay, something causes things to stay the way they are. So here we're going to actually also, in the same way that we examine the structure of these empowering beliefs, we're going to be looking at this dual dynamic. And of course, for both sides, we're going to be using certain things like these Polya patterns. Again, we're not going to define them now, but we've gone over them before, and hopefully you probably recognize them, or if you've never heard of them, you get some sense of what they are. This idea of what is the probability that this truly, creates that, or that this means that. If we verify a consequence, does it validate that? What has to be true in order for that other thing to be true? That's called contingency. Or we talk about this idea of analogy. Or disproving the converse, which means if I have an empowering belief and I can disprove the limiting belief, it doesn't necessarily prove the empowering belief, but it adds more plausibility to it. And then similarly, this idea of just comparing them with random. Does this cause that? And if it was random, what would be what would we observe? And of course, we connect these Polya patterns to the different patterns of sleight of mouth. And again, in this case, we're looking at them both in this dynamic between the empowering belief and the limiting belief. And now the other thing we're going to be bringing in, as I said, are presuppositions of NLP. Now, this is not a complete list of presuppositions, but these are some obvious ones. If you know anything about NLP, I'm sure you'll recognize them all. But these are interesting to compare any belief to, right? If we look at an empowering belief, does that, what seems to be an empowering belief, which again, as I said, can be tricky. That's part of even what makes something a potential thought virus. It sounds good on the surface, but what it can ultimately produce if you start examining the consequences of it in all different contexts may not be always positive, may not be always empowering. Similarly, this idea of, again, the map not being the territory, our ultimate goal is not to try to say, okay, this is the right map and that is the wrong map. That's one of the biggest sort of, let's say, seductions that people, I think, have with sleight of mouth. Oh, I'm going to tear up this argument and show how it's stupid and invalid. Well, that is actually not then enriching any map, right? That's actually another way of just making the map more impoverished, right? I've taken something out of it. So again, this is why we want to look to this notion of having the best choices. We're adding choices. We're not taking them away. We are looking for these positive intentions. So once again, that's going to be part of this. And then that helps us as we respond to beliefs because as we say that usually the red flags, if we, and especially if we think about these presuppositions and principles that we have gone over about sleight of mouth, we know that there's going to be these red flags. And once again, the goal of sleight of mouth is not to eliminate what seems to be the problem. It's actually to widen the map, right? And if the belief is emphasizing a problem, we want to also bring attention to the outcome. If it's about avoiding or getting rid of something, we want to shift the focus towards what to go toward to. If it's creating separation or exclusion, we want to try to find a way to make a connection or build a bridge. If it's making identity judgments, we just want to separate identity from behavior. So again, not going to go over all of these, but that's always been, that's our goal. And you see that the goal is not, make the other belief wrong. It's always to enrich that map so that we have other choices. And that's where something like the strategies of genius come in. Because we like to say that the strategies of genius are sort of you could say they're the counterbalance or the antidote to these red flags to the limiting beliefs. And again, I'm sure we've touched on these before, probably in Sleight of Mouth too, but here we really going to be showing that, okay, what strategies of genius are, especially these patterns of genius, they're qualities of mindset that will naturally lead us to certain kinds of sleight of mouth patterns, and will naturally lead us to widening our map and others' maps in certain ways. And so again, these are things like, having a highly developed imagination and being able to use imagination, connecting imagination to our, to the present. So the ability to envision something new and different, and having this strong orientation toward the future and belief in what is possible, having determination and operating in a feedback versus failure, thinking systemically, focusing on deep structure. Again, I'm not going to go over all of them, but if you kind of look down the two sides of these lists, you can see that on the right side, you have things that are balancing some of those things on the left side. So if the limiting belief is all just this kind of verbal, logical, sort of cycle, we can add other perspectives by using other senses, by using metaphors and analogies. And often this is what geniuses have done when they change the so-called paradigms of our particular cultures. You also see around this list that I kind of associate certain geniuses with certain ones of these patterns of genius. So, different ones of these, most of these are from either the existing strategies of genius books, and a couple of them are from the one that I'm working on now. But so this is going to be a big part of what we do. And of course, we're going to be looking at how, in addition to things like these Polya patterns, these strategies of genius can help us to reframe and in some ways, well, not in some ways, but fundamentally to widen our map, so that certain strategies of genius we'll be looking at are those that help us to, again, naturally generate certain sleight of mouth patterns. I'm not going to go into this and all the detail because that's of course what the class is about, but just want to sort of give this as our overview here, and as kind of a lead into what we'll do, as I said, a little practice of part of this, how this works here in this masterclass today. So that certain, again here, this is just showing that certain strategies of genius naturally are going to lead us to find these kinds of new frames or reframes. And that's a big part of also what we'll be exploring in the class when we go through the Sleight of Mouth 3. We'll work with these clusters of patterns of sleight of mouth relating to both the empowering and the limiting belief that are going to be able to be generated through these sleight of mouth patterns. And then again, we sort of use our NLP presuppositions as another way of testing checking these beliefs. So when I end up having this belief, which sleight of mouth patterns, which NLP presuppositions does it seem to be, fitting, and which presuppositions might it not fit? So now, once again, this is coming up. It's the way we do it as we've done the previous ones is two weekends coming up at the end of April, beginning of May. And you can find out more about that, obviously, at 7007, the James Bond address, .info. So that's kind of a bit of background about this. And what I want to do next then is we're going to walk through a little. I want to, like I said, as part of this as being a master class, I want to kind of walk through a small example of a taste of how we would be doing this. And I'll wait till I know the slide is still up there. I think it'll be a little easier to walk you through when we have the full screen. So, an example of what we're going to be doing then is, of course, continuing to put together the types of things that we have, been exploring so far. In- uh, so, actually, Richard and Oksana, is it possible to get the slide taken off the
Володя,
screen?
можно снять слайд? Слайд не нужен сейчас.
There we are. So again, what I want to show is again, as we've said from Sleight of Mouth 1 and 2, that Sleight of Mouth is it's a mindset more than it is just a set of verbal recipes. And when you can get that mindset, the sleight of mouth pattern will emerge spontaneously, will emerge naturally. It's not about having to go into your left brain and try to figure it out. In fact, that is probably the best way to get caught in analysis paralysis, which is not a good, it's not going to generate any very good sleight of mouth patterns. It's not going to enrich our map of the world very much. As Einstein, pointed out, you can't solve the problem with the same type of thinking or the same level of thinking that's been creating the problem. So here again, I'm going to be kind of showing how we'll be using some of these aspects of strategies of genius to enrich the map to generate these sleight of mouth patterns. So to do that, I'm going to invite everybody, and whether you're watching on Zoom or from here, I'm going to be inviting you to stand. I see that there's a little bit of light coming in, so when I stand, I'm going to also make this a little easier. And so to do this, everybody, what we're just going to need is we're going to need a little bit of space, because I'm going to be inviting you to you're going to be taking kind of a step slightly forward into your left, a step slightly forward into your right, and then you need to have one step beyond that. So you'll kind of be taking a step to the left and then stepping forward from there. And then you'll be coming back these two steps, taking a slight step to the right and forward from there, and then two steps back. So that's going to be our the kind of the process, right? We know that because when we work with sleight of mouth, it's not just that we're going to sit still and go up into the head. We're going to actually use multiple intelligences to really truly generate a richer map of the world. So as usual, we always start any of our sleight of mouth exercises in what we call coach state. So I'm going to just invite you to just take a couple of seconds with me, and because we want to really get in, as we said, into the proper mindset, since our goal is to enrich our map, and as the poem said this morning, we want to have that all has a place to come home. All is at peace. So again, our coach state starts with simply being centered in ourself, and in particular, centered in the so-called belly center, the actual literal physical center of the body. And then from there, We're always opening out to what it is that we're doing, opening to enrich our map of the world, opening to discover something new. This idea of, opening so that all can be a circle within me. And then, of course, especially since we want to be using multiple intelligences, we want to really become alert and aware, attentive to, of course, our outer world, our outer environment that we're in, but also the physical presence of our body. We are aware of not only that environment, but also our physical presence of our body. And then, of course, the whole inner world, our whole subjective world that is inside of us that has to do with thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations. That's our inner world. So we want to really bring all of those online. And then this idea of connecting to the intelligences, right? There are multiple intelligences. There's a cognitive verbal intelligence in the head, an emotional intelligence, and we could say in the heart. There's an intuition in the belly. There's a wisdom to the whole body. And then we can also connect to sort of what we could say is the wisdom of the earth and nature, plus the bigger wisdom of, these bigger systems that we are part of, going all the way out into the universe, if you want. So that's our coach state. Now, what I'm going to be inviting you to do in just a moment is I'm going to be inviting you to think about, I was saying when we started, what is a belief that if you had it, could really make a big change in your life? And we don't have, again, we'll have a little bit more time during the weekends to be exploring these in more depth, but just kind of think about that. And again, remember what it said is, what if you could believe that something was possible that could really make a difference for you? What would that be? Or if that you were capable of something, or that you were worthy of something. A lot of people, when I coach them, they don't have the belief that they're worthy of having the life that they want, or that they're worthy of having sufficient, wealth or resources. That, that could be, those could be life-changing beliefs. So, you might want to just start there, can just, again, pick up, and just to explore, this is an exploration. And what I'm going to invite you to do is take that belief that just comes to you, and just to explore, that it's either it's possible, I'm capable, or I'm worthy of what. Just pick that as a thought experiment. And we're going to you can either, depending upon you and how you want to do this, you can either take a step to your right or a step to your left, whichever feels right for you for this first exploration of this belief that you want to have. So I'm going to invite you to take that slight step forward now. And of course, we're going to be now exploring that belief a little bit further, right? It's possible for me because why? It's possible for me because why? Or I'm worthy because why? So that's actually the belief. That's going to be the full belief statement, right? This is true, it's possible, or this is, I'm capable, I'm worthy because why? And just sort of let that come, whatever comes to you. And then really begin to take this belief as not, first of all, again, we started with it as a kind of a hypothetical. It's a thought, it's words, right? It's linguistic. And we now want to turn that linguistic into something neuro. So we want to bring it into the head, the heart, the belly. So if you actually believe that, and one of the ways that you can sometimes use to assess that is, or to install that a little bit, is to think of other things that you do believe, and think, well, now if I believe that, what would I be like in my head, in my heart, in my belly? This empowering belief. And just really begin to experience that. Bring it head, heart, belly. And you can do that simply by sometimes just repeating the belief. It's possible for me to do this because, or I'm capable because, I'm worthy because, whatever that is, heart, belly. And then once you can get it enough in there, and as we know that beliefs are not binary, they're not all or nothing. I can believe it a tiny bit, I can believe it a little bit, I can believe it part way, I can believe it a lot, I can believe it almost all. So its beliefs are not binary, and they do not have to be 100% in order to be active in our life. So just want to bring that belief as much, into you as possible. And then what we're going to do, and this is where we're going to take one of our strategies of genius, this idea of using imagination, future focus, going to be asking you now to take a step forward. But actually, excuse me, before we do that, one very important thing. Once you can have that belief inside of your head, heart, belly, body, where you can have at least whatever level you can, in this thought experiment, you can get to right now, you want to show that with a gesture or a movement. If this was true for you, how would you show it with your body? So show that now with your body, whatever level that is, whatever you can get to, you're showing it through a movement, through a gesture. And then we're going to take that belief, that whatever that energy, whatever it brings up alive in you now, and you're going to step into the future. This is this idea of using that pattern of genius of imagination. What future would this create for you? And you can step as far into the future as you want. It could be a few weeks, a few months, a few years. But if you stepped into that future and you really engaged your imagination and you kept this future focus, what kind of future would that create? What could you, if you held that belief and you lived that belief here in the future, what kind of future could it create? And here, of course, we use one of the other patterns of genius is to engage multiple senses, multiple intelligences. So you want to see what it might bring. You want to name what it might bring. You want to hear if that's part of it. You want to feel what it might bring. So really just take a moment and live the future that this belief could create in your life. And you want to keep, of course, you do that by continuing to make the gesture of the belief and seeing what you would see, hearing what you would hear, feeling what you would feel. Now, again, as I said, this is just a taste. It's an example, it's an experiment. Then I'm going to ask you to take a step back to the belief, and then another step back to where we started. This kind of slightly now to which, one side or the other, so that you're back where we started in this coach state. And now we're going to also be engaging another pattern of belief, which has to do with the ability to have metacognition. That means, to have observing things, to be in a meta position. And now what we're going to do is to look at what gets in your way of that. If so, that's great. Hopefully that future that you were just exploring is something that would be really profoundly meaningful for you. But there's probably something that gets in the way of you fully believing that. I doubt anybody was able to immediately get it 100%. There's probably something else there. Maybe there's something that just interferes. Maybe it's actually the opposite. Sometimes, limiting beliefs show up as just the polarity, meaning if I want to believe it's possible, limiting belief is it's not possible. But it could be something else. It could be, it's not always, sometimes it may be possible, but you don't deserve it. It could be some other aspect of those. But I just want you to notice notice wherever there's any place here as an observer that you feel there brings some kind of conflict, some kind of resistance, some kind of obstacle. We're now going to explore that. And I'm going to be inviting you to take the step to the other side, right? So this is now the other side. And kind of put yourself into whatever that obstacle, that resistance that you felt, usually you notice it first as some kind of crash in the body, right? There's some kind of either contraction or there's some reaction. There's some kind of paralysis or some kind of, going up into the head, some kind of disconnection or some kind of, hostility. So just first of all, notice that, be aware of that. And as usual, we've practiced this in previous classes. Rather than immediately try to, get rid of it and fight it, we want to actually make a place for it. We want to actually be able to get to, some level of coach state so that whatever that crash is, it's not the most dominant. And so I can actually, as we like to say, hold this place, become curious about it, and recognize that it probably is here for some positive intention, even if the consequences are not positive. Maybe there was a time in my life where this did make sense. There was a time in my life when this was necessary to believe. So I just want to welcome that. And then actually really explore what that belief is. So what is the belief that's here? What is that belief that is here that's kind of creating whatever this obstacle, this resistance, this conflict is? And again, we have limited time in the thought experiment, and that's where some of these frames for eliciting limiting belief come in handy. If I did do that, because it might, again, it might not just be the opposite of that. It might be, yeah, it might be possible, but if I did this, then something else bad might happen, or I can't do it because. So just notice that. And of course, similarly to what we did with the other side, I'm going to invite you to sort of take on that belief. You don't have to take it on 100%. Remember, for those of you who have been in previous courses, we call this tasting the poison. So I want to actually, get to some level of what does this belief create inside of me when I think those words and whatever else is, going on with it. And then we want to show this side with a gesture or movement. How would I show this other side here? What might you do? How would you show it with your body? What would be the gesture, the movement? And then similarly to what we did with the empowering belief, you're going to take a step forward. And go into the future. What's the future that if you continue with this belief, what future will it create? Now, there might be some positive aspects, there might be other things, but there's probably likely, because of some of this crash, that you're going to notice other consequences. So just really take a moment, going kind of as far into the future with this as you did with the other. And just noticing, if I continue with this belief, and it is a choice, it is a choice. It's definitely a choice for me to continue with this belief. What kind of future will that create for me? And again, notice, maybe there's a positive future, there's some positive, maybe you start to realize other things that you hadn't really thought of, that if you really have this belief as a choice and you keep it and live it, you can always have it as a choice, but if you actually live it as a choice, what will that create? See what you would see, hear what you hear, of course, feel what you would feel. Bring those multiple intelligences here. And you're just noticing this other reality, this other future. This map will create that kind of territory. Then once again, for this thought experiment, now that we've kind of tasted that, I'm going to take one step back and then back again to the starting point. Come back to coach state, of course, sort of centering, opening. And now I'm opening, the circle holds both. Opening, alert and aware, my outer world, my physical body, my subjective experience. Connecting to all of those multiple intelligences in head, heart, belly, body, earth, sky. In the poem, she talks about going into the world and out again, out to the edge of the sky. And in fact, as you stand here now, and we kind of connect out to the edge of the sky in a way, and you look at these two possible choices in front of you, they're now a choice. I could choose one, I can choose the other. And of course, I could even choose one at different times. Maybe I can even understand where that one path has come from. But the question I want to invite you to do now is, from this perspective, what is the message you would want to bring first to the you in the empowering belief? Secondly, we'll be looking at what message you might bring to the you who is in the limiting belief. Now, a message is just a message, right? It's a perspective. So from this point of view, standing here, looking at from this bigger perspective, and looking at the two paths, the two realities that these could create, what is the message? What would you want to give? What would you want to say to the you who's in the empowering belief? You don't have to think about it much. Just kind of hold that question, and then step into that side of your empowering belief, and bring kind of this bigger perspective and whatever message would be here that might support this in some way, that might strengthen it, that might encourage it. Just notice what that is, what comes naturally, what comes spontaneously. And then notice how that influences this belief. Once again, as you are in this belief, take on the gesture, the posture, the gesture, the movement. And then, taking a step forward to that. This is one choice. This is a future that as a possible future I could potentially create. And then our 2 steps back again, and we're going to do the same thing now with the other side. As you look to the other side, what could be the message that I would want to bring to that side? This doesn't say you're wrong, you're bad, but it somehow also, honors, well, what is, if we can look from this perspective, we can see that there is probably some positive intention here. What could be my message to that side? Now, again, don't want to think about it too much. Just sort of notice that, keeping this perspective. We're now going to step to that other side where the limiting side was, the resistance, the obstacle, the conflict, and now bring this bigger perspective, this new message. And as you kind of take it into the gesture, the physiology, the movement that was associated with this, if I bring that message here, what maybe begins to shift there? What maybe do I begin to notice can actually there's still the intention of this belief, but somehow there's something more possible. And again, there might not be, this is a thought experiment, we're doing it very quickly, but I just want you to notice that. And maybe once again, stepping forward, if there was something that shifted, how might that influence the future? Just as an experiment. It's a thought experiment, just in the map here. Then take our two steps back. And now we're just sort of observing, okay, there's these choices. And maybe there's something even new here. Maybe there's new possibilities here now. And just got to sort of notice what now that sense of, hopefully I actually have some other insight here, some deeper understanding. Hopefully my map is enriched in some way that allows me to make a better and more wiser or more effective choice. So I'm going to invite us all back. And we have a few minutes for a couple, maybe we'll see, for a couple of questions here from our group on Zoom. But hopefully that gives you a kind of a taste. And that's just using a couple of the strategies of genius. And we do that much more, in the class, in the program, we'll actually do that in a much more specific way. I'll do demonstrations, of course, of how we do that. And we'll use as I said, we'll use kind of these different clusters of patterns to generate these different perspectives and widen our map in different ways. So we do have a few more minutes. If anyone does have a question about that, be happy to take it from our Zoom group.
Just raise your hand.
Yeah, do you know how to do that on your thingy there?
Just in the reactions.
It's in the reactions.
Okay.
Oh, good. So we have Arthur.
Yes.
Welcome.
Arthur. Hi, Arthur.
Hello, Robert.
It's been a while. Good to see you.
Many years, but
Yes.
my quick answer to the question you just put is, I forgot how transformational all the trainings I had with you in the 90s actually were. and this was a lovely reminder and a taste. And my initial thought was, I wonder what Robert's up to, I'll just check it out. Now I'm considering taking the training.
Well, good. And I think there'll be some other nice wonderful things there in that as well, Arthur.
Oh, it's definitely possible. And I'll anyway send you an update about
Yes.
my good life now.
Yes. Thank you, Arthur. It's great to see you. Then we have Nincia has her hand up.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you. Mine is a kind of a question observation. Like in the first round, when we were going through the limiting belief, in
Yes.
terms of seeing what does that mean to me, I just couldn't move any further. I really had a
Yeah.
black wall in front of
Right. You couldn't even move into the future with it. Yeah.
me.
Good to know. Yeah. That's
I found it interesting. In the second round, then I found, some positive aspects, but the first round I was completely
Yeah.
blocked.
Yeah, thank you, because I think that's first of all, it's a great observation, and I should have. I mean, it's another possibility, obviously, that you have that limiting belief and there is no future. I mean, you're not. It's actually you're not going anywhere with it. So that is also a possibility. And then it's of course interesting to be able to say, okay, there's things that we can begin to transform about that can actually start to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great, thank you, Nincia. Wonderful observation. So we have Elisabetta, I think, also has her hand.
Yes, thank you. Hello, Robert and
Hi,
everyone.
hi.
I really appreciated the body part, the somatic part.
Yes.
And as I was experiencing, not that I found out things that I didn't know,
Yeah.
but they were clearer. And in the end, I thought, or at least for me, I really need a somatic experience to perceive the change.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
could it be maybe brought into a dancing score?
Sure.
A completely mute dancing score
Yes. Yes.
done over and over
Absolutely.
to really embody.
Yes. That's the programming part of neuro-linguistic programming. You know, once you get it, then you can embody it. And that's also the tremendous value of multiple intelligences. And again, showing the impact of beliefs is not because it's just something cognitive. It's actually, one of the big, empowers of belief is how much it can affect our body, not just even our central nervous system, which we can move consciously, but our other parts of our body. And that's what the whole placebo effect shows, that belief can positively or negatively influence things that are outside of my conscious awareness. So we want to really bring that in. And I love what you said, Elisabetta, about sure, and that about using it in dancing score. And that's one of the other things that hopefully will come out of this sleight of mouth 3, is that you'll begin to realize how you can also use sleight of mouth and these different patterns in many, many other things. There's not just sort of one way. And truly, sleight of mouth you can integrate into every other kind of NLP technique, and not only verbally, as you say, Elisabetta. So
I was also connecting it, but now I will have to think it over.
Yes.
Some yoga poses.
Yes. Wow.
Because in a therapeutic way.
Yeah.
So
yes.
really
Elisabetta, one of the things that we've done, even when we were, especially like even in starting in Sleight of Mouth 1, one of the things we do is we say, okay, show this sleight of mouth pattern with a movement. So if I was going to take this sleight of mouth pattern, which might be, redefine or chunk down, how would I show that with a movement? And then what becomes interesting is you start to realize, hey, this movement is familiar. Maybe it's something I've done in yoga. Maybe it is. If I do certain kind of yoga movements, what sleight of mouth pattern does that seem more, more natural, more easy? So
thank you.
Thank you. Nice observation and a good suggestion. I know we're past up there, but Kyoko-san, why don't you ask? Maybe we can do that, and depending upon Mark, I know you have your hand up too. We'll see if we can get to both of these.
Thank you, Robert. Hello, everyone. I'm from Tokyo, Japan.
Well, it must be really late there.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock a.m.
Wow. So you are
Yay!
honoring your
My
commitment.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this exercise was great. Thank you very much. The best, the good one for me is we separate wants
Yes.
and obstacles clearly.
Yes.
Normally do want, but the obstacles are together, but
Right.
purely separately. And
Yes.
also like had a get a positive intent from the obstacles, and we
Yes.
integrate. It is great. And my question is, I didn't have a chance to take 1 and 2 because of the time
Yes.
difficulty.
Time difference. Yes. Makes
But
sense.
that yes, but this time I truly want to take the 3, but I didn't take 1 and 2. Is that okay, or can I catch up? I mean, is
Yeah.
that okay?
Yeah,
Take that.
so we do have 1 and 2 recorded, and they are available for people to watch, and you can do them. If you go to the 7007 website, you'll get some information about that, and maybe also Richard and Oksana might say a little bit about that at the end. But yeah, that should be possible for you, Kyoko-san.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Love to
Thank you
have
for
you
your
back.
time.
I hear
Thank you.
Richard already saying yes. That's true. We can.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mark.
Thank you, Robert. I'm Mark from Nice in France.
Ah, okay, fantastic.
I would like to ask you, I find a great link with your score by your
Yes.
presentation, by the way of expressing by the score with the left side and the right side. Is the truth in the way of thinking this kind of method, Robert? Can you explain us if there is a link with
Yes.
your score by the way of thinking the method, the way
Yes.
of thinking differently by the right, by the left, and by being able to create something new with the
Yes.
past for the future?
Yes. You know, Elizabeth also brought up the score, the dancing score. So, you know, score is another one of these fundamental models that maps out what are the key elements of change. And, you know, usually what you're going to find is that, you know, we've always said that, you know, belief could be related to any one of these. Oftentimes in the score, the symptom is a consequence of a cause. The cause is actually something that's a belief, right? So I have this belief that then creates the symptom. And interestingly, you know, in the score, we usually like to say the symptom and the outcome are usually sort of a mirror image. So in fact, that the cause of the symptom is a belief, and then the effect of the outcome is some kind of value, something of value.
Yeah.
And so again, I think as you were saying, Mark, that exploring symptom and cause is also a mindset. It's a way of looking for things. It's the problem frame.
Yeah.
And that's why we say problem frame isn't a problem itself. It's only if it becomes, sorry, it's still getting, I'm going to try something here. I'm getting a little beam of light that's coming in from somewhere.
That's right, in the light.
Problem frame is not a problem. It's only if I get stuck there, and if it's only I get stuck in the going away from. So, and again, this is also where I think some of the strategies of genius come in, Mark, and help us with the score. Because the other thing that the strategies of genius are about is thinking systemically, so that when I'm looking for the cause of a symptom, I need to sort of think about it and I'm looking at something that's more deep. And
Yeah.
so again, I think you made a wonderful connection between sleight of mouth and score, and that's kind of where we want to go with this sleight of mouth 3. Is it's all applications and how we can begin
Yeah.
to bring those together.
Thank you, Robert, for a nice explanation. It was very interesting. Thank you for it.
And thank you, everybody. I know we're over time. Thank you for joining me for this masterclass. I'm going to turn this back over to Oksana and Richard, and I hope, of course, that I will see some of you there on Zoom or just in some way in May and June. Sorry, in end of April and beginning of May. So I will pass it back to our hosts.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert.
It's always such a pleasure, and I just feel that this community of people from around the world is really coming together, and the catalyst is the work you're doing. I think it's just tremendous. It's just extraordinary, and we're so grateful to you. Robert, also, we have to have a couple before you leave.
We have an announcement first.
We have a very important announcement. We know that in 2 days you're going to be having a birthday, and so we'd like to invite all the participants from all over the world to turn on your cameras, turn on your microphones, and let's congratulate Robert. Robert, you're going to be 70, is that right?
I am going to no longer be I'm going to be a septuagenarian. Yes, I'll be 70.
Wow, welcome. Welcome to the club.
Happy birthday, Robert.
Happy birthday.
Birthday, Robert.
Happy
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday Happy birthday.
Bon
Anniversary.
Birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
birthday, Robert. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
for
We'll see
Robert.
you in April.
Robert. Thank you for all.
My dear friend Robert.
Thank you for all.
In April.
Thank you. See you soon. See you
Thank
soon.
you very much,
Bye,
Robert.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Love you.
Ça n'a pas d'heure, c'est fini comme ça.
Thank you everyone who is with us. And Robert, right now we just want to say a couple of organizations
Bon anniversaire.
for you. So we have tonight we have our prize raiser at
Oh, yeah,
midnight.
the early bird price is flying away at midnight, but Oksana has a kind of a special deal for you guys, only for you guys.
Only for our masterclass, dear participants. We after midnight you will have special promo code. The word Robert.
No, it's actually 4 numbers.
Oh,
7007
okay, right. The promo code is going to be 7007.
after midnight tonight.
After midnight,
If you don't have time, if you're paid by midnight, everything's fine. But look, we just want to give you 3 more days because you should pay less if you can, and right now it's 575. It'll be 600 when the price goes up.
Yes.
$600, not euros.
with promo code 7007.
It'll be
If you just joined this free masterclass first time, hear something about Sleight of Mouth 3 with Robert Dilts, we invite you to also join because we have special packages.
join what? How do I join?
So you go to 7007
And there, all the information will be.
and you will see those packages.
7007.info.
Mhm.
.info.
So you can choose Sleight of Mouth 1 plus 2 plus 3, for example, package, and then you can catch up with the material.
Oh, yeah, I just like to say a couple of words about that. The videos, and it's actually not just a video, it includes all of the slides, all of the workbooks, all of the presents and
Yes.
the videos and the audio. It's a comprehensive package, but if we just sell Sleight of Mouth 1 by itself, it's $745. But if you're buying it together with the live Sleight of Mouth 3, then it's only $300, and the same with Sleight of Mouth 2.
But
Because
yeah,
we want you to be able to first create the foundation before we try to build the house. And the first Sleight of Mouth workshop is really the foundation. That's where Robert created the model, all the different patterns. And then on the second Sleight of Mouth, we call it advanced Sleight of Mouth. And he brought in all this other stuff, and Sleight of strategies of genius and Polya
red
patterns.
flags, patterns.
And it just became completely a whole nother level. And so if you're going to go to the third level, it would really be useful to study and learn the first 2 levels. It's not a requirement, of course. I mean, we believe in freedom of choice, and people can choose just the third one. But we want to make it easy for you if you want to get the whole package. So there, I said my say.
So we will be very happy to see you. If you already participated in a program with our producing. You know, we have very warm community. Usually people are supporting each other, and Robert
It's a big deal.
is very kind and supportive. He's also answering questions during the workshop. So it's not going to be he's just translating material. He's also answering questions. If you have some situation to discuss, you also can bring it
And
during
live
Q&A
demonstrations.
session.
Live demonstrations, right, you know, on air. It's pretty amazing. Well, most of you have seen Robert working, and if you haven't, you're really in for something special. We also have, in addition to this community, which you guys are already part of now, and welcome. We have a great team that makes all this possible. All of the production and the art. Let's start just by thanking our engineers, Polya and Fyodor, the whole team.
Volodya and Fedor and our engineers, thank you very much. Also, our technical support and the
Yeah.
engineer of platform, Zishan Ali, we also
He's great. He's
very
just a
grateful.
pro.
Thank you very much, Z. This is our technical magician who's helping you guys if you have some troubles and you just write to our email or on 7007. They're also now on the bottom of the website.
Yeah,
He is also
he's a magician. If you got a problem, he'll help you. And of course, it's you have to write on the site or on the Telegram. You have
we also
the address to write.
we're also very grateful to our the web designer Alexandra Sofiska. We've been working with her for many projects and international projects.
Yeah, she's
and
so great.
All beautiful work you see on the website.
She and I. Just a second here. That's Christina. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, Sasha and I have been working together. The site that we did for this upcoming workshop is really a kind of a collaboration. I first found an AI generated picture of the planets being born. I don't even know how I found it or where, I don't remember. But then Sasha took this and completely changed the colors. She changed the whole thing, and it became really the background, you know, the wallpaper for the site. And it's such a, I mean, she's just amazing. Before I even finish the sentence, she already understood it, and she's doing it. So it's such a, I just want to thank all these people that I want to thank Oksana most of all, because to be honest, she's really the brains here behind this whole project, and it's her organization, it's her ideas, and so Oksana, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. It's a big what is it? Overestimating. Thank you very much. I want to thank most of all, also thank you, Richard, for all your support and work.
I got it.
And I also would like to thank, of course, Robert, to bringing light into the world and to continue and to bring in new spirit, new life to classical stuff, which all people are. I know that a lot of people are teaching sleight of mouth all over the world. They never even studied with Robert. They are teaching this by book. But we have right now a possibility to study it firsthand.
From the guy who wrote the book.
And not only that, but new generation, because if you study it on Sleight of Mouth 1 and 2, you will see, you saw it's a complete model. So it's somatic intelligence included and all different stuff he developed after words. So I'm very happy that you guys are joining us. Thank you for being here with us tonight. And for those who joining us, I will be very happy to see you on the workshop.
And Elizabeth.
Sorry, thank you. Can you please repeat the offer? Because I went to the website 7007.info and maybe I didn't understood what you said, but can you please repeat the offer?
Sure. If you go down the page, eventually you get to a place where they have four columns, and just briefly, Elizabeth, the Sleight of Mouth 1 package or the Sleight of Mouth 2 package costs $745 separately. But if you buy them with this upcoming live workshop, Sleight of Mouth 3, they're only $300. So So for example, right now you have the early bird price for what, 575.
Покажемо.
So you could add 300, that's 875. Another 300, that's 1175 for all three sleight of mouth
Ми можемо
workshops.
показати ці пакети.
Yeah, and it's if you look on, it's down at almost down at the
Ну,
bottom.
Можна
of
я
the website.
екраном поділюсь? So I'm sharing the screen.
Okay, I found it. Thank you.
Okay, and you're very welcome.
So here is
You
here
gotta
are
change
the
this.
packages.
Let me help her because
Mhm.
this is interference.
Мы видим. Here are the packages you see. And so you can choose on this very page, you can choose either sleight of mouth 3 or sleight of mouth 3 plus 1 plus 2. And for right now, until midnight by CAT, it's going to be the same price. But after midnight, it's going to be changed. And for those who participate in this masterclass with promo code 7007, you can pay for this very price, which is right now. So
Yeah, it's the lowest price that there is. It won't be lower ever.
Mhm.
But guys, I guess the main thing that I'd like to say is we really think that that what Robert's doing is extraordinary. He's creating really a new model. It's a multifaceted model. It's kind of like a molecule comprised of all these different aspects, but together in combination, it's really something new. Although this is stuff that he did a long time ago, most of it, and yet in combination, it's really something new that's coming. And I've been, Oksana and I have watched it from the beginning as it goes step by step, and I just invite you to join us for something really extraordinary. I don't know anybody who's working at the level that Robert is right now in our field. There's certainly a lot of worthy teachers, but Robert has a gift for explaining the most complicated ideas just so you can understand them. It's when he explains it, it seems simple, maybe because he understands it. But I so much enjoy listening to his teaching because it just soaks right in. It's so logical, clear, and so I'm really honored. I'm really proud to be producing Robert with, of course, my wife, my partner, my best friend, my muse, Oksana. And we really welcome you guys. This is an amazing community. It's an amazing exploration, and together I think we're going to do something really special here.
And we also invite not only experienced coaches, trainers, and psychotherapists, but also we invite people who are just starting their life path. And if you look at our YouTube channel, which you're watching, if you're watching live broadcast right now or in a recording, you will see also a playlist with interviews with recording with Robert for the couple of last years. And
yeah, this is Oksana's project. She's been doing interviews with Robert periodically. I think she just published the 6th one. Maybe you've seen it already, and they're really great. They're just
and
great.
we are preparing the 7th one, and I highly recommend you to take a look on those interviews, because there you see how Robert is not only teaching like on this workshop, but his world his map world, his map мироощущение.
Yeah, his worldview.
So it's really interesting, because for me, the first time I saw Robert, it was in London, and I came to this audience, and he was on the stage, auditorium, and he was on the stage, and I was really astonished and amazed. It's real Robert Dilts. His life and speaking, it's real.
He's a legend. I mean, he's a legend.
Yeah, he's a real person. And when I asked him, Robert, how did you write so many books? He told me, I'm just using NLP. And this is about him. He really using all those techniques. And on the workshop, you will see not only the theoretical explanation, but also exercises with steps which are working. So you can afterwards,
practical.
You can use those exercises with also yourself and with your clients. and continue this magic, creating this magic in your own life even after workshop. So we will be very happy to see you all. Thank you very much for being tonight with me. Well, thank you very much if you're watching us in recording. Join us. Hugs from us.
I just want to say, by the way, Barbara, hello, and we stand with Canada.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Merci beaucoup.
It's
Love you,
always a
Barbara.
pleasure. Always a pleasure. We're in touch through Telegram, through email, but let's do this together.
Yeah, join us on Instagram, which you see on the screen, and also in the description you will see our Telegram channel and Telegram community chat, where we can interact even after the workshop or masterclass finished. So thank you all of you. Thank you our team. Bye. Hope to see you on the workshop with us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.